All right, back on Galaga here. Last night, after I stopped, I wanted to check a few things. I ended up pulling the schematics up. I wanted to look at these two resistor packs that I made up. Galaga uses a mix of isolated and bust ones, and I made these as bust, not even thinking about it. I wanted to verify that they were correct, and they are. The isolated ones are used over here in a few spots, but not these. These are bust, so that is correct. Another thing I thought about is I normally run my power supply for my test bench on the low side. I try to keep it around 4.8 volts or so. Galaga is power hungry. It likes a lot of juice. So I switched over, put the big power supply on it, and that puts out about 5.1. I have that set for. So that's hooked into the harness right now, so we get a little more power. I did fire it up just to see if it made a difference. It doesn't. So our next step, we have the RAM OK. So that tells me that this processor, our primary, is working. It's accessing the ROMs. Data is going through the controller here and making it to the RAMs, and it's able to test them. So we know he's doing his job. But we're hanging there. So in this processor, these two here are not, these are not activating. This one goes through this ROM, through this controller, and accesses the RAM and everything. This one, our sound one, runs through this, through that controller, and through. I don't know on Galaga, when you get the RAM OK, is that just this testing, just to test the chips themselves? And if the chips work, it moves to the next step, which would be ROM OK or ROM failure. So I don't know. Not that familiar with the code on it. But what I do know is these two are not being activated. I did pull the ROMs and verified them. Everything passed here on the CPU board except for this one. This one is not, ROM ident could not find this one. So this could be a problem here. So I did burn a replacement J3 chip to go in here. So we're going to eliminate that first by putting this in, trying to boot it one more time. With any luck, that will fix it and we'll boot up. So let me get the extra wires we need here and jump some more power onto this. So eliminate the voltage issue altogether from being a problem. All right, that is on. Everything else is correct, did not pull anything else. So let me get the bench back on and get the monitor fired up here, and we'll see where we stand. All right, let's see if that makes any difference at all. Nope, just RAM OK again. Well, it was worth a shot. I think what we're going to do next, I replaced all the sockets. I did not inspect the board thoroughly. We could have a damaged trace somewhere on it, a scratch or anything that could be stopping it from going. So let me disconnect here. We'll get the board split apart and I'll do a thorough inspection on the boards themselves. I looked at what I did for the sockets and nothing stuck out. Everything looked good. Nothing obvious, at least. But what was it? A few weeks ago, I got burned on a centipede game I was working on. Did not do a thorough inspection on it, and ended up having a lot of trace damage and stuff over some RAM chips that were put in and hacked up pretty bad. So let me get a good look on these and see if we have any damage on anything before going any farther on it. I'll be back when we're done. All right, the video board. Other than just cleaning some flux off where I replaced these sockets, everything looks good. There's no gouges anywhere, no scratches. I verified my work, made sure there was no lifted pads or damaged traces anywhere. Everything looks good other than just need cleaned. The CPU board is a slightly different story. Let me bring that over. Yeah, you would think I would have learned my lesson after that centipede board, but I didn't, obviously. So I am going to have to really start paying attention to these boards and going over everything, do a thorough visual on them before I start doing anything, just to eliminate some problems. All right, where was that? And let's see, I got to find it first. It was pretty obvious once I seen it. There it is. Okay, let me get you guys down here. Hopefully you can see. Let me swing the magnifier in, maybe that'll help. All right, right here, this IC. This was removed. It is not socketed. This was not one of the ones I pulled. I just did the EEPROMs and everything. All right, sorry about that, phone rang. Yeah, this IC here, that thing was not one that I'd taken out, but someone did, and I've seen worse hack jobs, so, but I got a couple things right here. This pin is shorted to this trace up here. This is shorted over here, and there's a blob coming from this via over here. No idea how they did that, but I'm going to get the desoldering gun fired up here, because I don't know if that little piece here is, I don't know if that's just a piece of solder laying there, because I can't imagine that trace would come down into here. But let me get it desoldered, and we'll take a close inspection of the traces and everything on here. All right, got the chip out. It is a 259. This is it's a latch, an addressing latch. 4 pins total shorted on that. Top of the board looks good. No issues up here that I could find. No traces were shorted or anything up here. The bottom, though, is where, hopefully you guys can see this. 2 pins were shorted to this trace here. I removed a bunch of extra solder there. And 2 down here were shorted to this trace. Now, I got everything pulled off. I will mask this back off here once we get the chip soldered back in. We're missing 1 pad here. Via is still intact, so we should be all right. The chip itself was an LS259. Now, I am not going to put this back in. I'll get the Chinese tester out here and see if it's any good. Oh, it sees it. Knows what it is on the auto identify, but I am not going to reuse that. Let me pull one of those, and we'll get one put in and see what that does. 59. Oh crap. We are not. I am out of 259s. All right, gonna add that to the order I'm gonna need. I'm gonna order these resistor packs as well, but Crap, I wish I had one of those. I'm not going to socket that. No. I'm not a big fan of socketing these chips. I like sockets for RAM, ROM, processors, customs. Anything else, to me, a connection can fail. So I try not to socket this. In this case, since I don't have any, I will put a socket on this. And I'll use this chip just for testing purposes to see if we get a booting game. So let me get a socket on that and we'll go from there. The socket is installed. No bridges anywhere. Everything looks good. The only reason I could even remotely think of is why you would have so many solder bridges across these is just using the wrong tools when they put that in. They must have had too big of a tip on the soldering iron that caused that to happen, because there's no excuse for that. Insane. But that is now done. So, let me get that out of the way. Get you back up above here. Now, the next step, like I said, I don't have one. I'm not going to leave this 259 in there. But what I am going to do is we're going to put this in the socket, because the tester did show it as, it recognized it as a 259. So, get these legs straightened out. One of the reasons I put a socket in, just so we can put this in to see if it makes any difference at all. A little alcohol yet for cleaning it up. That won't hurt anything. Make sure I get in the correct way here. With any luck, it did not hurt the chip, and we'll at least be able to run the game and get it to boot now, or at least get past the RAM check. Put some things away here. Yeah, that's twice now in a relatively short time where you just get complacent. You don't really go over and stare at the boards like you should, looking for things like that. No solder or anything laying around. Let's get the video board back over. Get the ribbon cable back on. I'm hoping this at least gets us past the RAM error. Alright, power back on. Got a radio. I'm going to get my extra power leads. We'll get those on. Kind of minimize any chance here for a failure. Hopefully with any luck. Let's pull them back off there a little bit. All right. That is in the correct way. Get power back on. Well, all right, let's get the monitor woke up. And let's see what happens now. See if we have any change. I'm hoping we at least get past the RAM test. Oh. All right. Do we have a sound processor? What's going on here, guys? We are hung again. We're resetting. All right. Something different. That's weird because we're not even making it to the RAM check right now. Yeah, we're not getting anywhere with that. All right, power down. Huh. Take out a bunch of shorts and we get less than we did before. Let me eliminate this. That's the one I burned to put in to replace this high speed they put in it. Just to eliminate that. All right, let's try again. There we go. Wow, whoa, okay. What was wrong with my EEPROM here that I burned? Oh, all right, we got some graphic issues. What the hell is that? Ah, okay. Yeah, we have some graphic issues, all right. That must be whatever this terrorist chip is. Okay. That is different. Let me get the joystick. Let's try this thing out. That's interesting. So that was the first time. I've heard of high-speed kits on these before, but that is the first time I've ever seen this terrorist one. All right, let's get the camera a little better here. And we're not, there we go. I have left, right. It does appear to be working. That is so weird. I don't know who came up with this one. It's different. I've never seen it before. All right. Well, we're gonna put that down. For some weird, dumb reason, I think I want to make a copy of those ROMs. I don't know if I ever put it into any... Oh, wait, we just had a ship off to the side, a regular. Yeah, that's weird. So, we had less with my EEPROM. I got to verify this here, make sure the one I burnt was good or not. Interesting. So, well, that's a good sign. We have a functioning game. So I'm going to add a 259 to our list of parts. Let me burn a set, get rid of the terrorist and the speed up here, and make sure we have a fully functioning normal game. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to put an order in, and when the parts come in, we'll try it out and see how it goes. All right, everyone, welcome back on the Galaga here. Some of the parts did come in for this. So I did get my 259s. They came in, so I changed that one out, put a new one in. I just don't trust this one. I don't know if it would fail prematurely now with those pins being shorted, but circular filing cabinet for that one, we're not going to chance it. My EEPROM that I burnt here, could not figure out why it failed. So I did a little digging in, tried to burn a new one. I had, let me get them here, 5 in a row fail. I've never had an issue burning a 2732 before, but I remembered these were a bulk lot of 20 of them I purchased off eBay. Unfortunately, they came from China. The windows on them are all perfect. These do not look like they were ever put in. They're stamped as STs, which is not a horrible chip manufacturer. There's no date code that I can see on them though. I think these are counterfeit chips. These things are junk. So I'm tossing those. What I did have one left, I had one Intel 2732 left. So I burned that one and stuck it in for the graphics to eliminate the terrorists so we look normal. I do have more chips coming, so I will change that out. What else? Oh, I did reach out to the owner of this because I was confused on one thing. I had no clue how this game would have booted into pass with those pins being shorted on this. When I talked to him about it, this was an eBay purchase. He bought this for a cabinet he is building. He's putting together a Galaga game. That's what this is for. So this came from eBay, not a working machine. So that explains it. So someone down the road worked on this and created a problem by that. But that is now done. So what we're going to do, I'm going to power it back up. As I said, I got these 2 resistor packs in. I'm waiting on the isolateds and the 1000s yet, and I'll finish swapping those when they come in. But for the most part, I'm happy with this. When they come in, we'll get them cleaned up and finish it. But this will end the video series tonight. So I'm going to boot it up one more time. I did switch back to my normal bench power supply just to see if that one would do it or not. So we're going to be 4.85 volts is what I have it set for right now. Let me throw these out. All right. So let's get the monitor turned on and we'll see. I know Galaga likes a lot of power. I know it booted off 5.1, but with all new sockets and clean chips, 4.9 should not be a problem for it. It should boot. So that'll kind of give us a little insight on the integrity of the board set as well. So let me get the monitor set up and we'll try it and we'll play a game. Hopefully everything looks good. All right, hopefully you guys can see this a little bit better. While I was waiting for parts to come in, I did change the mount on my monitor so I can actually rotate that now and be able to play games without looking sideways at it. All right, let's see if everything goes as planned here with this Galaga. We'll put some power to it and see what happens. I'm going to turn that light off just to make it a little easier to see there. Here's our sound, nice crosshatch, and there's the game. Now I'm not sure what the speed up is going to do for it. All right, we have functioning sound, but whatever it is, when I get new EEPROMs in, I will change that out. So I'm gonna grab my keyboard here, or my joystick. Let's coin up and see how it plays. This was one of my favorite games as a kid growing up. Everyone has a list of games they love and will never get rid of. This is definitely one of my top 3 for arcade games. Oop. And there's a couple pinballs in my collection too that are not ever going to leave. Come on, die. There we go. It's a little different playing it down here. Not as easy. Kind of not the same viewpoint or anything when you're not standing in front of a game. And I think I just screwed my shot of getting my fighter captured. Alright, stay up there. I'll kill you up there. And this could be the worst challenge stage right here. Ah. Yep, this one's bad. But as you can see, the game plays well, sounds are good, graphics look good. The terrorists are gone. He does not want those back. The speed chip and the terrorist graphic chip he does not want back. So I'll throw those in a pile, tag them, and I'm not sure what I'm going to do with them. I don't ever see putting them in a game or anything. I don't want them in mine. But we'll keep them just because it's something different. So, like I said, when the rest of my parts come in, I'll just finish this up. But for the point of the videos and stuff, I think this is going to be a wrap on this one. Thanks again, guys, for watching.